Welcome back to Apex Alchemy. If you were a part of our 3,000 subscriber giveaway yesterday, we had live. Very much appreciate you showing up in attendance. Congratulations to everybody that won a knife. Of course, we had the 3,000 subscriber package that we were definitely giving away, but we gave away a few extras as well. So again, thank you for watching. I've been carrying this knife for about 2 weeks now, and I have some opinions formed about it, and I'm here to share them with you today. First, let's go over some knives that are very similar in size that you might catch me carrying as part of my regular rotation. First up, you got the PM2. This is the copper Rex 45 variation. It's got a 3.5-inch blade, very similar to the Kershaw Launch 16, with about a 5-inch handle, making it about an 8.5-inch knife. Next up, you got the Rat 1. Same story. Very similar size handle, very similar size blade. Here's the Cold Steel 8015. Boy, I really need to do some edge maintenance on that knife. This is a Benzo 31. Same story. Very similar size knife. How about my two in-house designs? You got the Raptora. For size comparison, that's my smaller fixed blade. And the Amygdala. Yeah, this is this is definitely a user. This is a test knife. At least I test them. First of all, I gotta say, man, I found myself right at home with the size family. You know, it's right there in the same size of a lot of things I've already carried. The 8.5-inch mark seems to be like one of my comfort zones, I guess you would say. It's like the right size handle for my hand, and it's a good enough blade. It's a very adequate size blade to do EDC tasks with. So I'm overall happy with the size of the knife, and the performance of the steel's been pretty good too. Speaking of the performance of the steel, we are still on the factory edge, and it is done well, man. It's not like a razor. It's not like, but it's, it's shaving sharp probably. I'll be the weirdo at work without any arm hair. But yeah, you guys catch my drift. The M4 tool steel that it's made out of is a high-speed steel. What that means is it's a tool steel that's designed to cut metal. So when you get a drill press and you're looking for drill bits, and you're looking for something that's not carbide, but it'll cut through soft metal, M4 or M2 is probably what that drill bit's going to be made out of, and the HSS behind that wording is going to be your clue. So M4 is a tool steel, obviously, like D2 or O1 or W2, A1, all those. It's in that same family, and it's done very well. It's known to be a brittle steel at a higher HRC. This knife comes in at 61, 62. On my testing, that video was posted as well. Edge retention's been pretty good. Like, I mean, it's 2 weeks in, and it's worked pretty, it's had a pretty rough 2 weeks. And no, I haven't put it through hell, but it hasn't had any vacation days, and it's done very, very well. One thing I do have to note is I've developed a little bit of a rattle, and this is my first automatic knife, especially a Kershaw. I mean, it's really my first automatic knife that I've ever cared about carrying anyway. But it doesn't make it while it's open. It has nothing to do with the pocket clip, but when it's closed, it does that. I assume some of you in the comments maybe will tell me exactly what that is, and if it's anything to worry about, or if there's anything I can do to fix it. Now, it does have a pivot. I've messed with that a little bit. I noticed that if you tighten it up too much, the knife doesn't deploy. But the button, you push the button, nothing happens. So you can't, there's a sweet spot, but it doesn't seem to take care of the rattle regardless of how tight or loose it is. Speaking of the button, there's been several people that said that the button on this model is completely useless, and I don't get it, but again, I'm not an expert when it comes to automatic knives. I don't have anything else to compare it to, so to me, this is my benchmark. I wouldn't want it. I think the problem is that it's too, it's set too deep inside the handle. I think I'd prefer that. It'd be a little harder to hit it and engage it inside your pocket, but it doesn't seem to be an issue for me. One thing I do find kind of useless is the jimping. The jimping isn't, it's deep, but it's not aggressive whatsoever. It's like very, very rounded off. It doesn't catch my thumb at all. I'm not sure it'd be any better with gloves on. I rarely work with gloves. The jimping on the back, same story, man. There's jimping on the back here, and it's aesthetically pleasing. Like for instance, on this Odin wolf here, has a very minimal amount of grip or jimping, but it does provide a superior amount of grip. You know, like your finger's just not going anywhere. It's much like a PM2 in terms of jimping. I guess that's the jimping I prefer. So as we covered, the knife is in that 8.5-inch family, but it comes in just short. It's about 8.4 inches overall. And let's check the weight. The weight of this knife is going to come in at 4.1 ounces. No complaints there. It feels really good. For a lot of people, that's not going to satisfy that ratio that you guys have. I don't have that ratio. I don't mind heavy knives, but that's something to think about. You know, especially with it being an aluminum chassis, it could have probably been a little lighter for your blade ratio satisfaction. So where does this knife fall in the future of my rotation? I think it actually has a pretty good chance of falling in a spot where I don't mind carrying it. I don't like closing it two-handed. I'm not great at closing this one one-handed. It can be done, but it's just not something I'm very good at. Maybe with a little bit of practice, but I've gotten really used to just like closing the knife with my leg. You know, I just like when it's time to close it, like you can pretend like this is the leg, and I'll just push it closed like that. Not really a huge deal. I do still prefer my manual action knives, but this knife is it's been very satisfactory. You know, it feels good in hand. There's no hot spots. I wish there was a little bit more hot spots on the jimping, but not a big deal, man. Like I said, like really, if a knife doesn't have any jimping, I usually don't even wish it did, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not something that I look for in a knife, but when it does have jimping and it's not very useful, it just kind of feels weird. Like, why did you change? You wasted the machining. It's on standoffs. I do like that. I do like the open construction where you can clean it out very easily. You can get all the pocket lint and anything else that it might collect throughout its week or whatever. When you stop and you clean your knife, it makes it easier. Of course, that pocket clip is reversible. It can go on the left side, but operating this auto left-handed is kind of weird. I think it's pretty much designated as a right-hand knife. I guess for right-hand users, but anyway, you can carry it in your left pocket if you so choose to do so. So if I had to put it somewhere in between all those four knives that I mentioned earlier, you got the Rat and the PM2 and the 8015 and the Sebenza. The knives that I'll gravitate toward the most, I do love the Sebenza, but the 31, you got the thumb stud that, I like reverse flicking, and so like that kind of actually puts it down here beside the Rat, and the 8015 is still my number one go-to, and the PM2. But honestly, I think this one right here would actually be right in the middle of those rotations. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm going to go pick out my knife for the day, which one would I rather grab? So I would rather carry this knife than the Sebenza 31. I know that might not make any sense to you, but to me, it's more satisfactory to carry this knife than it is the Sebenza, even though, this only has one deployment method as well, and it's not fun. It's just a button. But yeah, it's going to fall right there. Of course, these aren't all the knives that I carry. It's just, the knives that I carry the most often. But anyway, this video is about the Launch 16, and I'm impressed. I don't, you've heard me say 1,000 times, I don't like auto knives. You'll probably never catch me with an auto knife, but there's a first time for everything. When I saw the design of this knife, I knew it was something I wanted, especially at the price point. It's $159. I love the brushed aluminum or the raw aluminum type of look. This is my favorite model. They do offer it in different colors, some with the serrations, some with not. I do prefer the plain edged and the aluminum, so I'm glad it came like this. And I absolutely have no complaints with it. It fits inside my pocket. The pocket clip operates just fine. It slides in and out of my pocket just fine. No battling to get it in, battling to get it out. It's just a good performing USA made knife for about $159, and I couldn't be more happy with it, especially at that, like I said, especially at that price range. So aside from that rattle, I have no complaints, but somebody please, if you're experienced with automatic knives and you know what this rattle indicates, let me know, because it may have always been there, but it's something I've not noticed yet, so I don't think it has been. I think it's something that's developed over the break-in period of this knife. So if you know what that rattle is, please let me know what it is, and if it's anything to be concerned with, safety or otherwise, just general build construction quality, let me know so I can get that taken care of before the warranty goes out. You guys have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything, and we will catch you on the flip side.